pass just to run over the edge. Should be fine. Okay, but now the edge is quite longer, so I have to drop the tip again. Finished blade. We're going to normalize. I've reduced the oxygen intake here, so we've got a gas-rich environment. And I'm going to do this 3 times, allowing to cool to black heat each time. Low and slow. Once. I'm going to do that 3 more times. Rough ground. I'm preheating the oil. This particular kind of oil needs to be warmed up. Color goes out of the back, and I'll turn it over. Keep it straight. Cheers. There we go. I just need it to cool. Ready? You can see the quench line a little over there. Maybe enough. Alright, so now we're going to take it for tempering. First I need to just put a notch in. Put the wire on. go. Any old wire will do. Set at 240 for 52-100. There we go. Hanging in there. Can't really see it, but it's in there. So 3 times 1 hour when it gets up to temperature. Okay, so my knife has now been tempered to 240 degrees Celsius, and it's just gone slightly peacock blue. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a final grind to put the final edge thickness on it. And when I'm done with that, we're going to do an edge flex test. And I've just put together this little rig here to put the blade on, test the flexibility of the tempering and the edge. If it flexes and goes back to normal, we're good to go. If it chips, I must temper it some more. Alright, so the next time you see me, I'm going to have that ground to its final edge. Alright, so I've done a quick grind. This is not the final grind, but I've put basically I've ground down the edge finer to about 0.5 millimeter, and then I've put a convex edge on it. You can see it's slightly rounded. So now we're going to put it on our little block here. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see the flexing. Alright, so here it is. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on the edge, and we're going to bend it back and forth, and we're going to run it up and down, and that should tell us. This one seems to work better. Let's go to get it. You can see there. There you go. You can see it flexing out. Do that with all of them, all the way across the knife. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, I don't know how well you saw that, but that is a very successful edge flex test. So I can do the final grinding on this. I can turn off the tempering oven, and we can start the polishing. Okay, so what you're going to see now is just me going through the belts, doing the final grinding. I'm going to do it as fast as I can. Now, because this is the last time I'm doing this, what I'm going to do is I've done the bevels first, then I'm going to do the Ricasso last, because that'll help crisp up those lines and keep them crisp after the edge. There we go. That is ready for polishing, hand polishing. Okay, rather than you watching me polish this whole knife from beginning to end, I'm just showing you the final strokes of getting the nice satin 1000 grit finish on, after which I'm going to true up the corners on the grinder and then give it a quick edge. Go. Corners back on. Now we're going to etch it. Alright, so here's the blade, ready to be etched. Now what I want to do is I'm going to stick it in. I'm going to swish it around a little. This is to make sure that any dust particles that may have been inside the solution don't stick to the blade. Because if they do, it's going to leave little splotch marks. But you can see the nice hum on, the nice temper line there already on 52-100. And just wipe it like that to make sure that none of the particles are sticking. You can see already it's a little mottled. And then I just put it in there. Now I don't leave it in there for more than about 30 or 40 seconds, so we're just going to pause to when I take it out. Alright. Okay, so what I do now, come on, there we go. Okay, now we don't leave it like this, because all those oxides is everything that's making it grey. Okay, so we've got some Brasso. If you live overseas, I don't know if you have Brasso. When I say overseas, not in South Africa, but any brass polish. This contains a micro abrasive, which I've been shaking while the camera was paused. Don't use old pieces that are lying around. This has still got bits of ferric chloride on, so if you rub it on, it may re-etch the blade. So it's safe to put your knife. You notice my workbench is an total and utter mess. It happens when I get overly busy and we forget to tidy. Alright, so all we do is we now rub it on. And what I do, once I've done it, on one side, take some of the Brasso, I just put it on and let it dry. Like that. Back, and a choil, then a fresh piece. Clean off the excess. Alright, here we go. Nice hum on. Well, not really a hum on, it's not wavy, but nice temper line or quench line. So yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Next, handle assembly. Okay, so what I've got here is all the pieces of my knife ready to assemble. I've got the knife, my freshly etched and polished blade, nice and protected with some tissue paper wrapped in masking tape. You can use anything you want to protect your blade. This is just the way I do it. Got a piece of bronze. Oh, hang on. Bronze for the pommel, the guard, and a nice piece of bronze for the pommel, through which I'm going to put a pommel nut once I've welded a threaded rod onto the end. Now I only weld my threaded rod after I've fitted my guard. My handle materials here are some slices of Arizona desert ironwood, a nice piece of burl with bits of white and dark, and it all adds a lot of texture and flavor to the aesthetics of the knife. And of course a little piece of antler at the back. Now this one had a flare at the back which I didn't want, so I've just ground the flare off roughly. And I want to try and keep as much of this natural texture as possible when assembling it, which is why the last piece from the stack fits, and it's not smaller than the piece of antler, so I don't have to grind away too much of it. Alright, so now we're going to start by marking and drilling and filing the guard open. I do real kitchen sink measuring. That is 26, go to 13, Just use the vernier. I mean, it's bronze, so it's not going to damage it. I then measure the width of my tang just behind the guard. Doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's right. I tighten up the vernier, and looking at how thick the shoulder is here, I just guesstimate about there. That should do nicely. Okay, there you go. Alright, then the last thing I need to know is my tang narrower than my ricasso? So I measure like that. This tells me also how big I need to drill my holes. Then I'll just move it. Yeah, here we go. Let's do it again to double check. Tight. And pull it off. Good. Now if it fouls anywhere up here, it means this is now wider than that. And if you try and force your guard over, there's going to be a gap. So this is perfect. So now I just need to check what size it is. That is just over 6 millimeters. So I'll drill three 5.5 holes, and I'll file it open as big as it needs. Because that's the size of the pommel nut. So I'm just going to drill take the pommel nut. Here we go. Safety first. There we go. Better than filing. Okay, these are the 3 files that I'm going to use. This one is a standard file that I've just narrowed a little bit to go for narrow tangs. This is a square file I've made safe by grinding off the sides so that I can do the up and downs, and then of course my starting file, which is my favorite file, which broke, which I just welded together. Still works great. So that's what we're going to do now. Thin file to start. I've opened it wide enough to fit the bigger file in. This will do the work a little bit more quickly. And so the other marks are gone. Alright. Check there. Okay, that seems to be fine. I need to now make it wider that way. No, of course not, it won't fit. It's got. You can see we're almost there. And it's pretty snug. Okay, here we are. I'm just going to give it a gentle tap. Generally, you can tell when it seats up against the shoulders, the hammering becomes crisp and hard. There's no more like thunking. So let's see how we did. Okay, there is. There it is. That's pretty good. As much as it'll focus. Come on, camera. Nope, doesn't want to see it. You have to take my word for it. It's pretty close. In fact, it's pretty damn close. Minimal peening, and so I think we're done. Whack it in. That's still loose. Let's check. Yeah, on the top. Here we go. I can feel the sound of the hammer is crisp. And there we go. Nice, hairline fit. There we go. Fit. There we go. As best as we can see it. Alright, so now while it's on here, I'm going to rough profile it and then remove it, and then I'll clean up the front nice and neatly. Alright, there we go. Now it's round. Now I'm going to take it off. I'm going to polish up the front and finish it so we can put it on for its last time. To the Buffmobile. I have to be very careful with this. This is the most dangerous, next to my press, this is the most dangerous machine in the workshop. Holding the job firm in your fingers, don't push too hard. And this is a big problem which a lot of guys do. I've got this perfect hairline fit here. And what a lot of guys do is they buff like this. The buff takes that corner and it widens it, making a big gap in your guard again. So when you're buffing, especially this area, you want to take it and you want to put it this way, focusing mostly on one side and then the other. This will help preserve this crisp corner that you have here. Okay, and if you have to spend any longer at the buff than that, you should rather just go back and polish the job again with a finer grit. Shouldn't take you more than 20-30 seconds to buff it. If you have to use the buff to do all the work, that's the wrong thing to do. Okay, shouldn't be harder than that. Okay, it does require a slight tweak, so I'm going to do that. I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, focus. There we go. Okay, what you're seeing there in the corner there is actually not a gap. It's just a little bit of the bronze flared out. What I'll do is once I've glued it together, I'll take a brass needle in here and I'll burnish that, and it gets rid of all those marks. But that's pretty damn good. I'm very happy with that. Same there, see? Don't worry about those corners. Those will be gone once it's all glued together. Alright, next step, putting all that onto that. But first I'm going to weld a threaded rod onto the end. Okay, so I'm about to drill the holes into the spaces. I don't measure, you should, but I generally just thumb suck. There's one done. Now I'll check it, see how it fits. There you go. Needs to be opened a little bit, but I'll take a file and I'll just file those rounds square, and then that'll fit on there perfectly. Then I'm going to do the rest. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so then I've done that. Alright, now you'll see it fits a little bit too high, but I'm going to be cutting that off and putting a threaded rod on so that it sits like that. Alright. Okay, so once I have welded the tang on and I've prepared my spacer material from brass shim stock and fiberboard, I'm going to cut the holes in here and stack them on. That'll go on like that, that'll go on like that, and that'll screw it all together. Alright, that's how you fit all your spacers. Alright, so we're about to start gluing, so I'm just going to do a trial fit with my special tightening tool, and we're going to put it all together just to make sure that everything lines up. Now, I've polished the face of the pommel and I've sorted out the pommel nut. I'll put a link up next to this to show you the complete separate video I did of preparing the pommel nut, and you'll see how I did it there. So then I just put it like this, put that in there like that. Screw it together. That's the way. Here we go. Oh, don't unscrew it. Don't be a don't be. Be a doobie. Okay. With my highly technical tightening tool. Which is just a 3.2 rod. Make sure everything lines up correctly, which it sort of does. Give it a nip, pull it out, check, hold it up to the light to check if there are any gaps, no gaps. Sorry, you can't see that there. I've just held it up to the light, I've shown the light through here, and it looks like it's tight like a tiger. So I'm gonna, next you're gonna see me gluing it all together, and yeah. Now in the beginning I saw this is off center. Well, you can see there it's a little bit popping out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna check, and I'm gonna rotate the guard, the pommel, and we're gonna see if that makes a difference with the alignment of the pommel nut. Okay, it helps with the see. Ah, there we go, that works. Score! So you can see around there. That's perfect. So I need to mark it to make sure which side is the top. Now what I'm doing is I'm just marking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know which way around it goes. I've set this all up very specifically for this, so we can't get them confused when we assemble them. Right, so now I'm going to mix some quick set clear, and we're going to stick this sucker together. Okay, so I've got Practice quick set clear. This is one of the strongest quick set epoxies in the world. So for my brethren overseas, if you never get hold of some of this stuff, this is the shit. Alright, so it's cold outside, so the epoxy's a little bit stiff, which is fine. We're just going to take a little longer to set, but that's okay because I've got quite a few pieces to assemble, and in really hot summer weather, the epoxy sets very quickly and I have to work very swiftly. You'll see how fast I put this handle together out of habit, because sometimes the epoxy is very fluid, and it has a tendency to sit while I'm stacking the handle. As to how much I'm using, I just guesstimate. Don't put the white cap onto the red. I've done that before, and you have to use a knife to get it off, basically. 2 parts, 2 equal parts, and then all we do is we mix, and we very quickly stack it together. So it might be out of focus, but getting the screw in is more important right now than the focus of the camera. Alright, we have touchdown. Very good. Many a time I've struggled for a couple of seconds just to get that pommel nut in. Alright, so now we're going to tighten it. Okay, now because I've put no pins in to secure it in place, I just have to use my thumb. You don't want to over tighten it because you can also break off your weld and pull the, there we go, I can feel it tightening. So I'm just going to give it one more nip. There we go. I'm happy with that. Here we go. That's the handle all glued together. Next you'll see me is at the grinder. This is the final step. You can see I've carefully taped up, even though the camera won't focus, there we go. Carefully taped up the bronze pieces. Now we're going to buff that. See, I've taped up the blade as well. We don't want to buff our etched blade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the corners here. I'm going to buff those round and on the corners here as well. And once those are shiny, I'll remove the tape. Then we're going to move to the wood buff. That's this one here. And we're going to do it all at once like that, and then we're going to shine it up and have a finished knife. Yeah. Now I just need to take off the tape and buff the wood. go. And you've got a nicely polished handle. Now it's Christmas time.